Let's start with the breaking news, and that has to do with Cameroon, another African representative, and this went the way of it went the way like that of the Senegalese in terms of a defeat for the Cameroonians. It was a slim loss, a 1-0 loss to Switzerland, and for Switzerland it was Bril Embolo who scored the only goal of the game early in the second half. Now here's the irony: Bril Embolo was born in Cameroon, and he's a Cameroonian but plays for Switzerland, and out of respect for his motherland, he decided not to celebrate that goal is scored, and that was just enough for Switzerland to get the job done. For the Cameroonians, it was a bit of a disappointing performance, especially talking about the final third. You had Maxime Choupo-Moting getting the nod ahead of Vincent Aboubakar, and that's quite understandable considering the rich vein of form that Choupo-Moting has been with his club side Bayern Munich, but he couldn't get things going for them in terms of getting a goal or even forcing the goalkeeper to several saves. You had Onana pulling off saves upon saves, talking about the Cameroonian goalkeeper. He made a save from that Shaka power driver that we had all been expecting late on in the game, about in the 88th minute. You had an also decent run of spell for the Swedes where they piled the pressure. Onana also had a save from Vargas in the middle of the second half before Anguissa, the Napoli defender, also had to prevent a cross from coming in by preventing Embolo from getting to the end of that. So the Cameroonians losing, while for Switzerland it's a very good win and a very huge boost for the chances of qualifying from that group that also has Serbia and Brazil. For the Cameroonians, definitely not a good one. You had Toko Ekambi also starting alongside Choupo-Moting. At some point he went off for Nkundu, who made his debut at the World Cup, while for Switzerland you had Embolo repaying the fate of the manager as he got the nod over Seferovic before the likes of Okafor and Frey also made way in terms of replacing the likes of Shaqiri and so Cameroon going the way of Senegal in terms of losing their opener, but they still have 2 matches against Brazil and Serbia, and those are difficult matchups, I must tell you. So the chances of Cameroon qualifying from that group is quite slim, it must be said. But for Switzerland, this is a huge boost when it comes to qualifying from that group. Well, let's turn our attention now to the action we saw yesterday. We start with the big one. You saw the highlights earlier at the beginning of the show, talking about Germany against Japan. That was a match that wasn't meant to go down that route in terms of the scoreline, but the Japanese earning a comeback victory over Germany. Germany took the lead courtesy of Gundogan's penalty early on in the first half, and they could have even had a 2-goal advantage going into halftime, but the VAR chalked off Kai Havertz's strike. Meanwhile, Japan responded within the space of 10 minutes, and that was in the second half. You had Duan getting the equalizer off a rebound after Manuel Neuer spilled right in front of the 6-yard box, and Takuma Asano's angled drive. That was one of the acutest of angles you want to see when it comes to world football. It was a very good drive right there just to give Japan the lead, and from there the Asian nation held their nerves and they were just able to see it. For the Germans, this is very, very difficult. It complicates the chances of qualifying, and the reason is their next match is against Spain, and that means that they can't afford any slip-ups. If they lose that match, they will be going home, and to make a second successive exit from the group stages. Remember, at the 2018 World Cup in Russia, they were the defending champions, and they crashed out of the group stages. And another Asian team was one of the Achilles heels, you want to say, but that was South Korea. This time around it's Japan. Let's see if the Germans will be able to respond against Spain in their next match. Talking about Spain, yes, they underlined the title credentials by routing the Costa Rica 7-0 that ended, and what a magnificent performance it was from Luis Enrique's side. You want to question, was it more of Spain's brilliance or how terrible the Costa Ricans were on the night? But regardless of the side of the divide you're in, you can't take it past the Spanish team. They played so well and they deserve the result, and even the scoreline 7-0, as I said, Olmo got them up and running with that goal. You had Asensio getting the second goal for them. Ferran Torres of Barcelona got a brace in there as well, not forgetting Gavi of Barcelona. You have Sola, who plays for PSG, as well as Alvaro Morata. All of these players got on the score sheet for the Spanish team. It could have been more. Keylor Navas, former Real Madrid goalkeeper, who has also played for PSG, a very good goalkeeper, was made to pick the ball out of his net 7 times. You probably want to say the Costa Ricans were not just good enough on the night. Well, but the Spanish team will be going into this confident, and as I said earlier, their next match will be against the Germans. A win for Spain will definitely see them through to the next round of the World Cup, and that'll condemn Germany to an early exit once again. But if it ends in a draw, talking about that titanic clash between Spain and Germany, the Spanish team would definitely fancy their chances of qualifying, having won handsomely against Costa Rica. Well, it's time to turn our attention now to the people of Nigeria, talking about football fans, the lovers. We hit the streets of Lagos, where we had to, take in how Nigerians are reacting to the World Cup in terms of viewership. Remember, Nigeria is now the World Cup, and despite that disappointment, you still have Nigerians trooping to various viewing centers and screening centers to take, to bask in the glory and euphoria of the FIFA World Cup taking place in Qatar. We spoke to some of them about the chances of Senegal qualifying for the next round, having lost to Netherlands, as well as the possibility of who gets to win the World Cup in terms of title favorites, who finishes as the highest goal scorer, as well as the most valuable player. They had a whole lot to say. Let's take a listen.
They will qualify because I believe they will beat the 2 remaining teams they have to play in their groups. The first match they played, they just lost the concentration against Denmark. They defend very well. Tactically, I think they are sound, but because I'm African, I believe Senegal will consider to the next round by God's grace.
Like, when it comes to group stage in football, like, first match matters a lot, but I don't see them qualifying.
Sure, they can qualify 100%.
Yes. No, cause their game, I think I was impressed on their last game. So,
number 1, Brazil. I tip Brazil. Number 2, I tip Senegal. Because the reason why I'm picking Brazil first, I think in all departments they have the better players based on the papers, on the club they played for, the record they have made so far in all the Premiership, La Liga, Serie A, Bundesliga. They have done very well, fantastically very well, and the team has been together for like 10 years. Their coach has done wonderful work. For Senegal, I'm an African. Nigeria is not there, so I'm hoping by God's grace, if Senegal goes to the final and win the World Cup, I will be happy as an African. That's why I'm supporting Senegal.
I want Brazil because they have good players actually.
As it stands right now, I think Brazil, France. I will have told you maybe Argentina, but as it is now, you can see the underdog doing some stuff right now after their defeat today. So basically, I will choose Brazil or France.
Everyone was saying Argentina before now. Everyone was saying Argentina, but I think for me, I think it's Brazil. Brazil is the best team.
For now, I would rather pick a striker, but because I'm an Arsenal fan, let me give it to my Jesus. Gabriel Jesus will be there.
Mbappe, Kylian Mbappe of France. Very certain about that. That's the golden boy of France.
Me, I see Sterling being the highest goal scorer. Yeah, seriously, because he has scored 2 goals already. I think the next match, at least, he'll have another goal.
For me, I'll say Valencia.
I can't say because it's just the first matches they are playing now. So to determine the tournament best player, when we get to the quarter-final, semi-final, you determine. But for me, personally, let me be sentimental. This time around, I will give it to my Gabriel Jesus too.
Best player, Mbappe. Kylian Mbappe. Just watch out for him. He's the golden boy of our generation now. Because I'm a France supporter anyway. Because they love black. And I'm black. I'm also black. And so I support France. And I know he's going to be the golden boy of the tournament as well.
All the teams has not played yet. So I've not seen other players. So I think after first match, after the first match in all the group, I'll be able to predict that. But for now, I don't see anyone yet.
Wow, quite a whole lot, it must be said right there from football fans. The disappointment of Nigeria not qualifying for the World Cup. Yes, it's still there, it still lingers. You can't take it away, especially when you see other African representatives playing. There's always that, question of, oh, what if it was Nigeria, would we have qualified? Would we have won that match, and all of that. But the fans are not allowing that disappointment affect them. They're still enjoying the beauty that the World Cup has to offer in terms of the upsets, the big teams living up to expectation, and more importantly, the World Cup also showcasing a new talent, it must be said. Yes, we know of the Neymars and the Messis, Ronaldos of this world, but we also want to know who the next Neymar is, who the next Messi is, and the World Cup is always a very good, platform to provide that for us. Well, let's turn our attention now to today's matches, talking about, the matches that will be played. Yes, we talked about the one that was played earlier in the day, which was Cameroon losing to Switzerland, but this time around, title favorites Brazil, yes, will be in action, and it's against Serbia. Now, this is a very tricky tie, it must be said. Serbia, we know quite well, have Aleksandar Mitrovic as well as Dusan Lajovic up front when it comes to the attacking talents, and these are players that have been scoring goals for fun over the last 2 seasons in Europe. Remember, Mitrovic was the highest goal scorer in the championship and guided Fulham to a return to the Premier League, and has also been scoring goals this season for Fulham in the Premier League, keeping them well above the relegation zone. And Dusan Lajovic scored lots of goals for Fiorentina before he was snapped up by Juventus in the Italian Serie A, and has also been faring very well. So the Brazilian defense has to look out for or watch out for these men, but definitely all eyes will be on Neymar to lead the Brazilians once again. He is their superstar and has been playing so well in recent times, especially this season, where he's been scoring goals for fun. It must be said, has 11 goals and 9 assists in 14 French League all matches this season. Tells you the form he is in, and you know quite well that as much as he's not an outright striker, Neymar does get the goals. 115 goals in 163 games for PSG, 105 in 186 for Barcelona, and he has 75 for Brazil. You know quite well that Pele's record is 77. Pele is the highest goal scorer ever in the history of Brazil with 77 goals. Neymar is just 2 goals behind, and what a fantastic opportunity this is for him to move past the legend himself, who has been touted as the greatest to ever play the sport.